This is our journal this week. This is a long video, so make sure you are using your time wisely. We're going to be discussing volume of cubes and rectangular prisms. Before we start on our journal, we need to discuss the topic a little bit. What is volume? Volume is the measure of the space inside a solid figure, or the measure of the space that a figure takes up. One and the same. Wait, stop a second. Volume is the space inside a figure? I thought you told me that's what area is. Okay, let me clarify. When we're talking about area, we're talking about a two-dimensional shape, like this one here. It's a rectangle. We're talking about the inside or the surface of that flat shape. For example, if I want to lay tile on my floor, I will need to know the area of the room to know how much tile to get. I'm not filling the room from floor to ceiling. I'm filling the floor with the tile. Volume, though, when we're talking about volume, we're talking about a three-dimensional shape like this cube here. So we're talking about adding cubes, and those cubes could be 1 cubic centimeter, 1 cubic inch, 1 cubic foot, and we're adding these cubes and then layers of these cubes until we fill the entire cube or rectangular prism. So the question is, how many cubic units can fill up the box? Let's figure out how we find that. First, tell me again, what is volume? Excuse me. So let's figure out how to find volume. The formula, we need a formula before we start. When we're talking about area and perimeter, we have a formula for those, right? What is the formula for perimeter? Right. The formula for perimeter is side plus side plus side plus side. Okay, so what is the formula for area? Right, the formula for area is length times width. The formula for volume is the area of the base, which you already told me you know the formula for, plus the height, or length times width times height. So the area of the base times height, or length times width times height. Both of these things are saying the exact same thing. Let's take a deeper look into what that means. So what does area of the base mean? Rectangular prisms and cubes have sides, right? Not just straight lines, like sides, a face. Okay, and they have these faces all the way around. The base is the surface the shape stands on. So when we're talking about the area of the base, we are looking for the area of the shape that the three-dimensional shape stands on. Dimensions are the measurements, the length or the width or the height, the dimensions that make up the shape. So what are the dimensions of the base of this rectangular prism? Right, 5 inches and 4 inches. So what is the area of the base of this rectangular prism? Right, 20 square inches. So before we move on with finding the volume of this figure, let's go back to what I said about filling a shape with cubes. Rectangular prisms are three-dimensional shapes. So like an empty box, you could fill it with layers of cubes. The layers are the height. Look at this rectangular prism. Without even knowing the dimensions, we can fill this shape with cubes. Now that it's full of cubes, we can find the volume. Finding the volume is as simple as counting the cubes. The word cubes is important. We aren't counting the number of flat squares, but a three-dimensional cube. So let's look. Can we find the area of the base here? Yes, we can. We can see that there are 6 squares going across the side of this base. We can also see that there are 4 squares going across the other side. Now that you know, what is the area of the base? Right. We know that it is 24 square units. Now let's talk about these layers I mentioned before. Each layer has the same area. That means that this layer has an area of 24, and this layer is 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 24. When we stack the layers one on top of the other, we create the height of the object. Whoa, wait a second. We said that 5 times. That means we have a height of 5 units. That means we can take 24, or the area of the base, and multiply it by 5, the number of layers, or the height, to get our volume. So what is 24 times 5? It's 120. That means the volume of this prism is 120 cubic units. We can fit 120 cubes into this shape. Easy, right? Multiply. Length times width times height, and you've got it. Now you try some. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? "20 cubic units. I found the area of the base by counting these across the front. It's 5. And the width is 2. I multiplied 5 times 2, which equals 10. Then I multiplied the 10 that I just got by the height here, which is 2. I know that 10 times 2 equals 20, so 20 cubic units. You can see here that you have on the bottom, you have a layer of 10, and you have another layer of 10 on top of that, which is 20. Now try this one. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? It's 162 cubic units. The length is 9. The width is 2. And I know that 9 times 2 is 18. The height is 9. And when I worked out 18 times 9, I got 162. So let's put some stuff in our journal now. This is the first sheet you're going to need. You're going to need your journal, scissors, glue, and colors. Okay. We are going to do our first journal on volume. We're going to have 3 of them total. The first thing that I want you to do is you can color all of this if you'd like. Make sure whatever colors you use, you can write in these 2 spaces and on these spaces here. Okay, next I want you to cut out all the pieces. Do not cut on any dotted lines. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces when you're done. Okay, on this one, volume, it says the amount of blank a blank object occupies. Okay, the amount of space a 3D object occupies. The amount of space a 3D object occupies. And then we're going to glue that down. Okay, then I want you to take this piece and this piece. We're going to put some glue right here on this one, just like this. And we're going to glue it down right here. And then on these dotted lines, I want you to fold them. Okay, last one. Okay, so if you notice, if you folded all of this in like this, it makes this cool little cube. Okay. The next thing I want you to do is put glue on this little one. He's a little harder. You may want to fold the dotted lines before you glue, because it's a little more difficult to fold. Okay, and once again, this will make a cube shape. I'm gonna put a little more glue on this since I rubbed it off, and stick it right there. Okay, so this small cube represents 1 cubic centimeter. Okay, so I'm even gonna write that. Here I'm gonna do equals 1 centimeter cubed, 1 cubic centimeter. Or you could write it on the inside if you'd rather. 1 centimeter cube, okay? Excuse me. So the space that this takes up is 1 cubic centimeter. That's what it's referring to, the amount of space an object occupies. So we're saying we can fill this shape up with these little cubes. How many cubes would it take to fill up this bigger shape? So we are going to figure out how we solve that. Well, you could count them in this instance, or like in our video, you could remember that it's volume equals the area of the base times the height. Well, this is a perfect cube. We can see that it's 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. And then the height, I'm going to write it on here, is 3 centimeters. So I've labeled those in all of those spaces. Okay, so again, we could count up all the cubes that we have, or we could say 3 times 3, let's write it over here, 3 times 3 equals 9, and then we have another 3, 9 times 3 equals 27. So inside here, because remember we're filling the space up with these little cubes, we're going to write 27 cubic centimeters. Okay, so the next piece I want you to get is this one right here, this possible units, okay? And we're gonna write on it that a cube equals 1 cubic unit. Okay, so possible units could be centimeters, feet, miles, inches, meters, millimeters, yards, or kilometers. Okay, these are all possible units of measurement for really anything, for area, perimeter, or volume. It all goes back to each other. It all connects to one another. So we're going to glue this one down. Right here. So in the case of this cube, we're talking about cubic centimeters. However, a cube, depending on the problem or the shape, could be any one of these: centimeters, inches, yards, feet, miles, meters, kilometers, miles, or millimeters. Okay, so I want you to take these other 3 pieces. Let's start with this cube one. It has the 2 by 2, and I want you to put the glue on the back and glue it down. And I did it wrong. I should have mentioned, you need to glue it. Watch. Okay, so when you fold it up, you want the picture to be the right way. So the side with the little cubes that you can see the cubes needs to be on the bottom, so that when you fold this down, it's folded correctly. So I want you to do that with all 3 of these. Okay, and last one. Oop, I did it backwards again. Okay. So like this, and like this. Okay, so we can look at each picture without the cubes, and we can open it up and see it with the cubes. So on this one, you really could just count it. You can see 4 cubes here, which means there's 4 cubes on the bottom. It's 2 layers of 4 cubes. Well, we know that 4 plus 4 is 8. We're gonna call these centimeters, so cubic centimeters. Okay. Okay, let's look at this other one. We can see our dimensions here. Our dimensions are the measurements of the sides. We can open it up and we can count these too. We can see that there's, it's only 1 deep, and there's 5 going across the top, and there's 2 layers of 5. Well, we know that 5 plus 5 is 10 cubic centimeters. Okay, and let's look at our last one. We can see our dimensions here. Our length is 3, our height is 1, our width is 4. So we can once again count these up. We have 1 layer of 3, 6, 9, 12 cubic centimeters. Okay, so let's go back to this one that we looked at the beginning of the lesson. We determined already that the area of the base is what? It was 20, right? 20 square inches. So now that you know what you know the formula of volume. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? It's 160 cubic inches because 5 times 4 is 20 and 20 times 8 is 160. So now I want you to try some more on your own. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? What is the volume of this rectangular prism? Now let's put some more stuff in our journal. This is the sheet you're going to need next. You will also need your journal, scissors, glue, and color. Okay, you need this page. You may color all of the pieces. We are not going to need this piece here. So you may take that one out because we're not going to do exponents this year. So, but all the other ones you may color. Okay, now I want you to cut out all the pieces, not cutting along the dotted line. You should have 2, 4, 6, 7 pieces when you're done. Okay, let's talk about finding volume with the formula. I'm going to glue down our title. Okay, then I want to take these two, so the one that has 4 cubes by 2 and the one that matches it, and we are going to first glue down the flap on this one. Okay, so that you can lift it up. Okay, and then take the flap on this other one and you're gonna line it up like this, and you can fold this one back. Okay, so it looks like this. We are gonna write on this a 2 because we have 1, 2 for our width. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 for our length, and 1, 2, 3 for our height. Okay, we're going to open this up and write the exact same thing. So I want a 4 here, I want a 3 here, and I want a 2 right here. Okay, so let's look at these pieces really quick. Let's glue them down. One here, and one here. Okay. Okay, so what is our formula for volume? Our formula for volume is the area of the base times height. Okay, or, I'm gonna write or, length times width times height. Okay, so then let's go back up here. You can see it with the cubes and you could count it up. You could see that you have one row of 4, 2 rows of 4, which is 8, and then you have 3 layers of 8. Or we can use our formula and do length times width times height. So under this flap, I want you to write volume equals length times width times height. Then I want you to write again, volume equals 4 times 2 times 3. 4 times 2 times 3. Then I want you to do this. Volume equals 4 times 2, which is 8, times 3. Okay, again, doing these two. What is 8 times 3? 24. And we're going to do units cubed. Okay, now we're going to take these other two that match. We're going to glue them down the exact same way. Okay, now let's label. How many cubes or squares do we have for our length? 1, 2, 3. Okay, this one's 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to label this other one the exact same way. I'm going to fold this over, and I've got 3, 3, and 3. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to do volume equals length times width times height. I'm going to do volume equals 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And 9 times 3 is 27 cubic units. Okay, let's go even deeper now. Look at this figure. What in the world is going on right here? Well, this is a composite figure. Volume is additive. Right, I said additive. Yes, we multiplied to find volume, but we can add the volume of two different shapes together to make one shape and to find the volume of that entire shape. So let's figure out how to find the volume of this composite figure. Tell me again, what is the formula for area? Right. Volume equals base times height, or length times width times height. There are two ways we can solve for volume on this one. We can split this shape here and here, or we could split it here and here. You can do it whichever way you like. For me, my eye goes here. That is the way I'm going to solve this one. First, let's look at this brown side. What is the length, width, and height? Yes, 2, 2, and 4. So what is the volume of that part of this figure? Right, it's 16 cubic units. So let's look at the other piece of this shape. What are the length, width, and height? Right, 3, 1, and 4. Find the volume. It's 12 cubic units. Okay, so we know this side of the shape is 16 cubic units, and this side is 12 cubic units. All we do now is add the volume from each side to our final answer. So what is the volume of this figure? You should have added 16 plus 12 for a final answer of 28 cubic units. So the volume of this shape is 22 cubic units. Now try one on your own. What is the volume of this figure? "40 cubic units. The length, width, and height of this part of the shape are 2, 2, and 4, which equals 16. The length, width, and height of this part of the shape is 2, 3, and 4, which is 24. When you add those two together, you get 40 cubic units. So try this one. What is the volume of this figure? You should have got 114 cubic centimeters. Here's how to solve this one. I cut the shape apart right here. That doesn't make it the right way. You could have cut it apart in a different way, but this is the way my eye goes to. So you can see that the shape's dimensions here and here are different. So I see 3 by 2 by 5, and I see 4 by 7 by 3. Where did I get 3? Right here. You can see that this width is the same as this one. The first shape came out to a volume of 30, and the second shape came out to a volume of 84. Add those together for a total of 114 cubic centimeters. So let's put some more stuff in our journal now. You're going to need this last sheet. You will also need your journal, scissors, glue, and colors. All right, on this next one, you may color and cut. Do not cut on dotted lines. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. You may cut in between the B and C flaps. Okay, now I want you to cut these out. You should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Okay, let's finish this journal now. First thing I want you to do is glue down the title. Volume of complex figures. Okay. Then I want you to find this piece here. Oh no, I'm missing a piece. Okay, well, find this piece here. Glue it down. And it says volume is additive. We've already talked about that. This means volumes of figures can be added together. Added together. So you can split a complex figure into 2 rectangular prisms, find their individual volumes, and then add them to find the total volume of the figure. So my little piece has walked off that looks like this, the one that has the A on it. Make sure you have it. Don't be like Miss Harris and misplace it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take this piece here and you're gonna glue it down. This is the first one where you can see that they're broken apart. And then I want you to take this other one. I'm not going to waste this sheet by cutting it out. I want you to take this one, and you're going to only put glue here where it says glue and lay it over the top. What that example is showing you how to break the two apart. So here you can put the, my pen doesn't want to work either, the 9 times 4 times 3. Well, to me, 4 times 3 is easy. That's 12. And I know that 9 times 12 is what? One away. Okay, and then here I can do this. 7 times 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. And 7 times 20 is 140. So then I can add the two together, and I get 248 cubic centimeters. Okay, make sure you have this piece here on this black line cut. And I want you to glue down Okay, so this example is showing you how this same shape can be split two different ways. So here they split this piece away from this piece, and here they split it this way with this top piece left. But what the example is going to show you is how you will still get the same volume no matter how you split it. So on this one we have 3 times 3 times 9. So I'm going to lift my flap here, and I'm going to do 3 times 3 times 9. Well, I know that 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81, and I think these are meters, so cubic meters. Okay, then I'm going to fold this one like this, and I have 3 times 9 times 8. 3 times 9 times 8. Well, I know that 3 times 9 is 27. And I know that 27 times 18 is 216. How's that? Oh, I forgot to do this other one. Okay, go back up here. Sorry, guys, I messed up. I didn't finish this one. Now I have 5 times 9 times 9. I forgot that part. 5 times 9 times 9. Well, I know 9 times 9 is 81. And 81 times 5 is 405 meters cubed. And now I add these together. 5 plus 1 is 6. 8 plus 0 is 8. Bring down my 4. So a final volume of 486 cubic meters. Sorry for skipping ahead of you. Okay. So now go back to this one. Now I have 5 times 9 times 6. 5 times 9 times 6. Okay, well, I know that 5 times 9 is 45. And 45 times 6, that's 30, 24, 20, 207 cubic meters. Okay, 0 plus 6 is 6. And 7 plus 1 is 8. 2 plus 2 is 4 cubic meters. Do they match? They sure do. Okay, we have one last thing we need to talk about. It's how to find how many units are missing to complete a shape. So if you had this shape, you could use what we've learned about composite figures to find the volume. First, you would find the volume of this entire bottom piece. 2 times 4 times 4. That equals 32. Then I would find the volume of this little chunk. 2 times 1 times 2. That's 4. Then this piece. Remember, we're going all the way back here, okay? So we have, this one's 2 times 1 times 4, which is 8. Then this piece back behind here. So you have to remember, we stop here because this right here, we've already used it. So it's these 3 times 2 times 1 deep. That's 6. Then we would add all of those up. 32 plus 4 plus 8 plus 6 would be 50 cubic units for this shape. But what if I wanted to find out how many pieces I would need to make the shape a complete rectangular prism or cube? I would do all of the steps I just completed to get my volume of 50 cubic units. Then I would figure out what the volume of the shape would be if it was already complete, if it was already full. So I can see here that my length is 4. I can see here that my width is 4. And I can see here that my height is 4. So my volume would be 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64 cubic units. Now I'm going to find the difference. What operation does difference tell us to use? Yes, subtraction. We're going to take 50 away from 64. What is the difference? 14. That means it would take 14 cubes to finish this shape. Now you try one. How many cubes will it take to complete this rectangular prism? And last question. Dwayne packed some books in a box shaped like a rectangular prism. The volume of the box is 168 cubic inches. Which model could represent Dwayne's box? After you answer this question, please make sure you were logged in when you watched this video. If you were not logged in, I did not get your scores. I would also like for you to make sure that your journal practice is complete. This was a very long journal this week, and you have journal practice. Make sure you spent enough time on this.